Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new Cedar Flags, where we are doing something that I wasn't necessarily expecting to do right now in the series. This is something that I was thinking we'd do a little bit later on, but we are going to be remodeling the front gate area. This actually came about because I did a live stream here on YouTube, and we were doing some preparation work for the Summit Runner POV video. We were doing a lot of nature work, and what had happened was we were kind of butted right up to the boundary of the gate, or the boundary of the parks, and some people in the chat there were like, you can actually change those boundaries. So what you just saw me do right out of the gate here was go in and change the park boundaries. We've expanded them out a bunch. This was something that Frontier added a little bit later on in the game development. So this is actually something that I didn't even know was possible. So once again, you guys have some really good insight and knowledge into these things, even though I'm the one playing the game. I feel like you guys are right there helping me sometimes. But yes, we've kicked this save over into the scenario editor, and then we are able to go ahead and edit stuff outside of the boundaries and actually go ahead and change the boundaries altogether. Now, there is an actual like finite limit to what you can do with this. There is like a hard boundary on the map itself, but we still have some wiggle room there. So I think these new boundaries are going to be the best for us, and we're probably not going to change them moving forward here. But I do believe that if you guys want to download this save, I don't think this one's going to be up on the Steam list because it's technically still in the scenario editor. But once I get this done, we'll kick it over out of the scenario editor into a regular save, and you guys can pick up from there. I don't think I can convert it back into a sandbox save though. I guess if you know the answer to that question, let me know in the comments on this video. But yes, we are doing a lot of terraforming here. You've seen a lot of flattening out, because what is going to happen here is we are going to make kind of like a parking lot front entrance area where it was really weird. We had that like front entrance was right on a cave, and we had people spawn in the cave and walk right out, and there was really not much of a walk, and then they were just right there. So it looked really weird and completely unrealistic. So this new entrance, it's like day and night. This looks so awesome. There was a ton of tedious work that went into this though, and I will say I may end up cutting some of the very minute stuff out. I generally like to show you guys every inch of like building that we do, but for this there was a lot of just like outlining shrubs and making the landscaping look okay. But we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into it. But just know that there are probably going to be little chunks here and there that I probably cut out from this just to save the time lapse a little bit from the monotony of it. But yes, this area is going to become more of a walkway up to the park. There's going to be a spectacular view of the park now. It looks so much better as it is, just like with this whole terrain flattened out. It's really cool to see the park from like a distance and not just right off a cliffside. So yes, this is already looking really cool. But what we're going to do is be putting in some of these parking lots, and I've kind of sketched some areas out in my mind. This is going to be kind of weird to try to talk to you guys about because you're not going to be able to see exactly what I'm thinking right away. So when we kick over into the live portion, things will probably get a lot clearer. I'm going to try to explain things as clear as I can, but this episode, all we're going to be doing is reworking the pathing area, and then we're going to be building a bus hub area, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. We're just going to be going through and doing some of the detailing work here. I actually really did like the planters that we had before, but I ended up deleting them and just trying to take a little bit of influence from them and, you know, updating what we have here. So I started to go back and tried to kind of keep the same path work that we had. I figured if we're going to be expanding this area, why not expand it altogether? So what we're eventually going to do is move these planters out of the way, and this whole thing is going to be more of a plaza, and it's going to be pretty cool. Now, I will say the one weird thing about doing this build and just this whole like task at hand, it's just very strange because we had the spawners in a cave before. So it's like, okay, they're just coming out of a mountain. You didn't really think about it too hard. But now that we're gonna make things a little bit more realistic looking, it was very hard to try to figure out how we're going to make people spawn into this world. So in the end, we're going to end up with some people into this bus hub area. So we are actually going to connect up people to the outside realm. I don't even know what you call it, but they are going to be able to spawn by the end of this episode, which is good. But I do want to add a couple more spawn points. So we're going to be laying out a lot of the path work in this episode for what's going to come in the next few builds here. And actually, I do want to talk about that. I don't think I'm going to be doing the next build as an episode. The next thing that we're going to be doing here is basically just a parking lot. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of putting that into an episode, because it's going to be very tedious work, I think we're going to actually do another YouTube live stream. And I hope that gives you enough time, because I think I'm going to be able to do it this Saturday. So if you're watching this video as it comes out, the live stream for the next build is going to be on Saturday, which is 2 days from now. But yes, hopefully you guys can make it to that. We had a lot of people turn out for the last one. The weird thing about streaming on YouTube as opposed to streaming on Twitch, which is what I've been doing, is YouTube doesn't allow me to take my videos down in full resolution. So I can download my videos in 720p, even though they're going up in 1080p. So it doesn't allow me to actually take the videos down and then edit them into these time lapses. A lot of the stuff that you see in these videos, I'm actually doing these live on a live stream on Twitch, and I can do that because Twitch lets me take my videos down in 1080p, so I can just edit the parts out that I don't need. But yes, unfortunately, we can't do that with YouTube just yet. So this live stream that's going to be coming up this weekend is basically just going to be archived. So if you guys want to watch me build a parking lot and you can't make it to the live stream, you can go through and watch it. I am not going to be editing that into a full video, but I don't feel like that's something that we're going to be like missing from the series if you want to skip that. So it's just going to be like, hey, there's a parking lot there now, which I feel is cool. And I don't know, I guess you guys can let me know in the comments. I also guess this might be a good time to talk about channel memberships, because my channel is now able to take on paying channel memberships. So these are premium memberships. If you're familiar with Twitch, you know basically what this is already. It's the subscribe from Twitch. So you guys, if you feel inclined, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel with $5 a month. Get a good chunk of that, and it actually covers a lot of the lost revenue from the Adpocalypse stuff, and it gives me something to kind of work for in this channel. This isn't ever going to be a channel, I don't think, that I'm gonna go like full time with at this rate, just because this kind of video takes way too much time for me to put together, as opposed to what I get out of it in terms of revenue. So with these paid memberships, this going full time into this actually becomes a little bit more viable. So if you guys like what I do and would like to see more consistent videos and more time from me to be able to put into this, you can go ahead and hit that join button down below and go through that whole process, and you get a pretty cool chat badge out of it, and your badge will show up in the comments section as well. There's also a cool perk where you guys can get a discount code for subscribing to this channel, and you'll get a discount code over to my merchandise store, which is on Teespring, which is another thing that I've never really talked about. But if you like this series, if you want to support me in a different way and get something more physical out of it, you can go ahead and head over to my Teespring store, and you can get a t-shirt with the logo from the channel. I also have a bunch of logos from like the rides in this park, which is really cool because I do make all these logos up, and it's cool to see them on like mugs and t-shirts and stuff. But I guess that's enough of me selling out. Let's go ahead and talk back into what we've been doing this far. A lot of path work, as you saw, and then of course these buses coming out. This is going to be pretty cool over here. By the end of this, this looks awesome. It goes through a couple different, like, I guess we didn't really build it that much, but in my mind when I set out to do this part of the build, I was kind of envisioning something a lot different than what we get. So I was originally thinking we'd get these buses with like some sort of roof cover over them. We end up not doing that because I felt like it was kind of random to have like a roof cover right up next to the park borders like this. So this ends up just being a parking lot for the buses. And then adjacent to this area, we're going to have another row of parking for buses. I felt like this is a pretty good area for this because I think just having the buses straight like right close to the front gates is probably a good thing for business, just because those buses are carrying like 30, maybe 40 people on them, and you want all of those people into the park as fast as possible. So people parking their cars are going to actually be parking by this little bent path area. That's what we're going to be building in the live stream. So those people are going to have to walk a little bit farther than the bus people, but I felt like it was a pretty decent split. It's not that bad. And if you've ever actually gone to an amusement park, you know that parking, sometimes you got to walk pretty far, but it's all worth it in the end. So I'm not too worried about the location of that. The parking lot itself is going to be kind of strange in that we're going to need some like boundaries around that, and I'm not sure how we're going to conquer that, but we will get to that in the live stream this weekend. But I think we're just going to have those cliffs just smoothed out and sloped down, and that'll just basically be a nice boundary for us. I also want to have a road, like an access road, coming into this parking lot and then kind of meandering past the park and then disappearing behind a mountain or something. I've already kind of planned this out, like I said, in my mind. It's something that I'll be able to show you a lot better when we hop in and I have full control over where we're going. But you're seeing with these bushes here, you're seeing somewhat of a shape take place here of what's going to be the road. So this asphalt texture, I should mention, I did switch out one of the ground textures, which I think was the dirt with like leaves on it. We actually switched that out for this asphalt, and it's a little unfortunate that we can't have just like add the asphalt to our palette, but unfortunately we can't. We had to get rid of one, and I felt like the leaves was probably the best one to get rid of. We haven't used it too much, and where we have, I think it is actually going to get replaced with the asphalt, but I haven't noticed anything glaring. But that's something I guess we'll come across if we ever see like random bits of asphalt under trees in the park. We'll have to take a better look at that moving forward there, but it's not something we're too concerned about right now. But I do like the asphalt. I had tried the concrete texture. They give us, I think, a concrete texture, a broken concrete texture, like an aged one, and then this asphalt that we have, and then the aged cracked asphalt. And we went with the normal asphalt. It looks pretty good. It looks really clean. And what I found with the concrete was when you zoomed out, there was a really heavy, like, repeating pattern in it. And with the asphalt, you actually don't get that. So it's pretty nice, and it's going to serve a pretty good purpose for us here, which is the road. But we're just finishing up some of these planters here. Again, these were influenced by what we had before, but the thing that I kept kind of thinking to myself as I was building this area was, yes, it's still part of the park, but it's kind of outside the park. So I didn't want to, like, go super overboard with detailing this area. And I know I've said this before, but I definitely wanted to kind of save on some prop count here and there. So you just saw me rip out all of that ground cover that we had there. I figured, why are we doing this? First of all, it was really hard to squeeze all of that in the right spots here and there, but it just added more props out here that the game had to render. And at this point, the game is starting to really take a toll on my computer. But yeah, I just felt like getting rid of those was almost like addition by subtraction, because it adds a lot more contrast here with the brown mulch and then the green of the plants there, instead of just all green, you know, that looked kind of just overwhelming. So having a little bit of contrast not only helps us with the prop count, but it also adds that little bit of eye-catching, just like tinge of brown in there that you're like, wow, this is really an awesome spot here. And frankly, it's just easier to do mulch, which is really actually just an added benefit here. But okay, the next thing that I guess we're doing here is taking these fences out. So before we pretty much were building with like a boundary in mind, I was trying to kind of hide the actual physical boundaries of the park from the paths where people would be walking. But now, of course, we have like the entrance to the park exposed. We're going to have people walking around this area, and we're going to need to actually define a physical boundary here. So these fences, I don't remember if they came in the latest pack or if they came in a prior pack, but they're fairly new, and they are pretty nice. These little wooden fences here, I like these a lot. Eventually, when we're not going to be dealing with like guests right next to them, we're probably going to switch over to chain link fence, which is much more, I guess, realistic for like the back ends of the park, but this looked really cool. And then of course we detail out this area with these awesome billboards. Now I've always liked these billboards. I think they are really cool signs, and I work in the sign industry, so I do know like these look awesome. They have little standoffs and they're like acrylic face, and they are pretty cool. I just really wish we could actually customize them, because it'd be really cool to fit like a photo of our in-park rides and then like the Gravity Mod logo over there. But unfortunately we can't do that, but we'll take it. These are really awesome, and I feel like they build a little bit of hype. These are marquee spots for advertising for our park, and they are just really cool. They're there to build some hype as people are walking into the park. I guess if you've ever been to a theme park or an amusement park, you know, as soon as you get out of your car at the parking lot, you are just drawn in by the atmosphere. And the parks will do a lot of this stuff. They'll try to pull you in, and it's kind of like a psychology game. You know, they're trying to make you not care so much about spending the $60 or $70 or whatever it is to enter the park. So you're just like overwhelmed by like the stimuli, and you're just like, that's the park, and these are all the people having fun in the park. I just want to get in there, you know? And that's really what we're trying to capture there. But you're seeing, we're hopping over now into building of this bus terminal. It's not really a terminal. It's more of just a bus parking area, and it's just kind of centralized, but we needed a way for the buses to get in there, obviously, so we're trying to use these bushes here to mark this out. Now, when we get into the live portion, I've said this a couple times now, but when we get in there, I'll be able to show you guys what I'm thinking for the future here and how the traffic flow, and I'm going to use traffic flow in quotes there, air quotes, because technically none of these cars are actually going to be moving, but we're going to try to give it that illusion of motion. This is something that I've done a lot in City Skylines, and that is, you see all these buses that we have now, we're going to try to make it appear as though they're actually driven here. They're pretty mechanically put in there right now just because they've been copied and pasted, but eventually when this is all kind of built out, we're going to go in there and tweak them. Some people may have parked a little sideways, some people may have not pulled all the way into the spot, that sort of thing. So yeah, we'll get into that when all of the buses are down. We've pretty much finalized all of this stuff, but before we do that, we need a way for people to walk over this quote-unquote road. So we have this asphalt, or I guess it is an asphalt path, and we do have this, but unfortunately it is not the same color as the texture, like the paint asphalt, which is really weird because you'd think they'd be the same thing, but they aren't. But to cover up this little difference in color, we are actually creating a crosswalk area out of these art blocks. And honestly, I thought this came out very, very good. I guess if you didn't see me put those paths down and you didn't know that they were different colors, you might not even assume that they were different colors. That's how cool that is that it goes down there. But this is acting as a crosswalk. As you can see, we're going to have people walking across the street. And like I think I mentioned early on, one of the spawn points for people into the world is going to be over here, and we're actually going to put it in a bathroom, and that was something that somebody in my live chat had basically recommended. I was originally thinking of just building like a full-on building over here, but we really stripped that idea back and just put the spawner in a bathroom. We're going to also have a bathroom over by the main parking lot area, which is going to be it's going to be basically the same thing that we're going to do in this episode, just a little bit tweaked. And then I'm thinking potentially we're going to have a third spawn spot in like some sort of maybe welcome center. It's really weird. We need to tuck these spawners away so it's not like people are just spawning. But since we're putting them into bathrooms, it's kind of funny because, like, if you step back and just watch the bathroom, you just see hundreds of people come out of this tiny little building, and it's just so funny to watch. But I try to do a decent job of hiding the bathrooms as much as I can with some nature work, and you'll see that when we get more into the building that area out. But we're just putting some of these beds in here. Again, I've probably gone a little too far with some of the landscape work that I've been doing in the park. I really wanted to scale it back and just keep things as simple as possible here. And even though I did that, they were still very annoying to, build, because we have all these curves going on. Of course, anytime you put curves down, it gets really tedious to go ahead and try to follow those with any sort of the props in the game. And honestly, the entire time I was doing this, I was thinking about City Skylines, and I was like, if we just had the prop line tool. And if you know what that is, it's a tool where you pick a prop and then you could go ahead and just drag a line with them, and it made things so much easier. You could do fencing really easy with that. You could do placing shrubs in a straight line or a curved line and all that kind of stuff way easier. Unfortunately, we don't have that in this game, and it was just a long, tedious process of getting everything situated there. But in the end, it comes out pretty decent, and it is a little bit scaled back, like I said. But we're building this little pavilion type area over here. This is going back to what I said, where I wanted to have a roof over the buses. I noticed a lot of bus stations have some sort of coverage over the buses because it's actually kind of cool. The exhaust for the bus comes out the back, and the buses are so long that you can cover the roof without fumes like getting just trapped under the roof. So a lot of time these bus stations will allow people to be able to walk out even if it's kind of raining or storming out and still get on the buses and pretty much remain dry, which is cool. That wasn't really what we wanted to go for here. I thought about it for a second. I was like, this isn't necessarily like a public bus area. This is just an area for buses to park while their guests are going through the park all day. So what we did is just put this little pavilion in. This kind of matches the front gate building a little bit. It's kind of the same style here. It's very, very simple. We do have a little bit of an A-frame architecture going on, but we could have gone way more in depth with that build, and this is one of those things where I kind of kept it as simple as possible just to refrain from using a bunch of props that were unnecessary, because for the most part, after this is built, I don't think we're ever going to be working around this area again in this series, so this isn't something we're going to have to like keep building on. But yes, this actually fits really well, and I think at one point I was considering potentially tearing down the main gate building and then maybe remodeling it altogether, but that's not something that I don't think I want to do anymore. So this kind of ties all of this together. It looks like it was pretty much built in the same era almost. You just saw me build the tiny little bathroom and move those spawn points into it. We're going to be trying to hide it with some of these fencing, or some of this fencing that we have. And I think this is pretty cool. This is a really good solution. Like I said, somebody in the Twitch chat had actually recommended doing this, and I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. So this actually is, I guess you would see a bathroom like in this sort of area where there's a bunch of buses parked. Parks want to give people the option to go run to the bathroom right away as soon as they get out of their car or out of a bus, because they don't want them to have to wait in line and, you know, cause potential issues with that. So yes, this is a pretty cool little area, and then I surrounded it with some nature work. We're gonna actually be doing a lot more nature work over there, but yes, I think it's pretty cool. It's not exactly, like I said, it's not what I envisioned when I first set out to do this area, but it works really well for these spawn points, and it's really cool to see people like walking as if they were going to get on a bus. So this is kind of the mentality going through all of this moving forward, is just we're trying to get people to at least look like they're supposed to be doing something on these little areas outside of the park. And yes, we're just going ahead now and finishing up some of this bus work here. And then of course we had to put some parking lines down, and then we had to fix the other side. And then you'll see me go ahead and delete some of those buses and then rotate them. And like I said, we were just going to make it so it looked a little bit more realistic. But I guess as we're going through and doing this little detail for the bus area, I guess we should probably talk about what's going on in the future of this series. I don't know. I think the immediate future, obviously, is we're going to be doing that live stream. We're going to be finishing out our parking lot. And then I think in the next full episode, we'll probably get back to building rides. We definitely need more flat rides in the park, and we just got restaurants in the park as well. So we're probably going to want to get in and start doing some of that type of stuff. So if you guys have any real suggestions as to how you want to see this series go in the next let's say 5 episodes, what you want to see. I know there's been a ton of requests for suspended coasters, that is something that I do really want to do. I have a pretty decent idea of where I want a suspended coaster to be, and I don't know, what other kind of coasters do you guys want to see in this park? What other kind of rides do you want to see? I know we've done a lot with coasters lately, and it's something that I do like to do a lot of. Just because I feel like I'm pretty decent at building coasters altogether. I may not be like the biggest coaster buff or like enthusiast, but I do enjoy just coming up with rides. But I also know that we do need some more flat rides in the park, and that'll encourage more families to come in. I honestly haven't been worried too much about the simulation so much, so I don't even know. I think most of our people at the park are adults and teenagers. I don't think we have that many kids in the park. We should maybe do some sort of kids area and have like a junior roller coaster, because I think we are now able to actually send roller coasters through for, continuous rides, which is pretty cool. But eventually we're going to want to do the kids area maybe, and then I do still really want to do like a resort area or like some cabins or something like that where people can rent and stay the night in the park. I know a lot of theme parks or a lot of amusement parks have that sort of thing, which is really cool. And that is something that we are actually able to do in this game, so that is pretty cool. So yeah, eventually we'll get out to that, but if there's any rides in particular that you guys want to see moving forward, let me know for sure down in the comments below. But you've seen a lot of just tedious fence work here, a lot of bus work, and then a lot of just shrub work here. And like I said, this was a lot of this, so I do believe we're going to probably cut out a lot of the end where we're just doing basically the same work over and over again. But this area in here, I guess I should talk a little bit about. This path work over here was originally all gonna be interior stuff. Like I said, I thought I was gonna do like a building over here, and we scrapped that idea. So we were kind of stuck with this like awkward, kind of strange little area. I didn't necessarily want to go through and actually delete this path work because, as you guys know, it's pretty nerve-wracking to delete a path and then try to get the same thing back in a different way. And there was something about it. It was kind of like a plaza feel over here, so I kept it, and we're doing a little bit of the same bushwork over here, and it is very, very tedious stuff, as you can see. But again, prop line tool, can we please get something like that in this game, Frontier? Just something, or let us mod this game, or just give us tools like that. It'd be so much nicer. But eventually you're gonna see me go through and build out that little loop area, and we are going to be putting in a cool little monument, a homage, if you will, to the King Coaster mascot. And I love that we had that in the game because it was exactly what I was thinking. But we're trying to get a couple more colors in this area as well. So we have some purples and yellows going on in some of these flowers here. I've been using a lot of blues this far in the outside of the park. There we go with the King Coaster there. But yeah, we've been using a lot of blues. For some reason, I think blue has become my favorite color. Ever since starting YouTube, my logo is blue, and a lot of the stuff that I do tends to trend toward the blue side of things. And I don't know, I felt like the logo was already on blue for Cedar Flags, and I felt like blue would match what we have going. So a lot of the bushes that we placed down were blue, and I felt like looking from overhead, it was like a little too much in a way. So we're getting some pinks and different colors in this area just to contrast it. There's that word again, trying to get a little bit more contrast here. And then eventually I tried to refrain from the rocks. My live chat really has just known me as the rock guy now at this point. I do so much with rocks in this game. I tried to refrain as much as I can, but they convinced me, just put a couple in there, and I was like, okay, we'll put a few rocks down here and try to tie this together a little bit, just because I felt like we were almost going a little too crazy with just shrubs and bushes. So just a little bit of contrast in there in the types of plants we have. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for the rest of this time lapse. It's basically just more putting all these bushes down and getting all this squared away. So I think we're gonna cut the time lapse here. We'll hop over into the live portion, and we'll go ahead and explain the whole thought process behind all of this stuff a little bit more, and hopefully it's a little bit clearer to you in the live portion. So let's kick it over there. All right, guys, we are live here in Cedar Flags, and before we look at what we've been doing this entire time-lapse episode, we're going to step back into the back part of the park now and look at Summit Runner, because this is the coaster. Yes, this is officially the name. I hope you guys checked out the point of view video. It looks like it actually may be broken down, which is kind of embarrassing, but no, I hope you guys checked out the point of view video. It took a lot of time to put together. It took a lot more time than probably should have, but yes, I will put a card in the top of this video right now if you haven't checked it out yet. But for that episode, or actually it's not an episode, for that video, I had to do a little bit of work around the park. I had alluded to that a little bit earlier in this episode, but we expanded the borders out and we got some of this nature work done outside of where, if you guys remember, our park border was basically like right here. So we didn't have a lot of space to work with. But for that video, I didn't want it to just look like there was just nothing over here. So we've expanded out and put a little bit of nature work over here and back here. But also for that video, this entire place was covered with just trees, just for the ambiance of it. But yeah, I've deleted those now. There was a little bit of tree work that I left though, like some of this stuff in here. And then for now, this is here, but I think I'm going to chop this little forest down and put like a restaurant across from this station. And then, of course, we actually have a new sign down here. And again, if you guys want to get these logos on merchandise, I have a Teespring store that is in the description. But no, let's go ahead and check out what we've been doing. And it looks like not a lot. But it took so long. I think I had a total recording time of like 11 hours worth of footage for this episode. And that is just so much, even for this tiny little area that I tried to be more restrictive on putting too much detail in. But yeah, there was just a lot of we needed to flatten this area out and just do a lot of tedious stuff. But I guess the first thing I should explain is what the idea is moving forward. So back here, I've kind of framed this out a little bit. I want to have a road coming from over here all the way up to here. And then we're going to have some sort of like toll booth or area for like people to pay to park. We're going to have that done over here. And then back here, you're going to be able to drive, air quotes again, drive your car this way. And then this is going to be the parking lot for the actual like pedestrian cars. But on the offshoot of that, this is going to be the road like here. And then the buses are going to turn this way and come over here. So this is our bus hub, and eventually they'll merge back up and then exit through the same area they entered from. But no, this is our bus hub. And again, I was trying to create motion without motion here, and we have these little exhausts, which I just love how this turned out here. We got exhaust pipes coming out of these buses, and it looks like they're just stopping and waiting for people to walk across the crosswalk here. And then obviously these are all parked, so they're shut down or whatever. But yeah, I love how this is going to look with the entire parking lot eventually. I'm not so sure how many cars we're going to want to place in the parking lot, but I guess we'll see. I think we're kind of limited on how many cars are in the game, so it's going to be kind of hard to vary those up. But I love this crosswalk here. I don't know, do people actually walk through this? I think they do. Well, it looks like they're missing them there, but they may... No, I think they do clip through these. These are the little cement barriers, so no cars or vehicles accidentally drive onto the pedestrian walkways. But we have our awesome little king coaster over here. And then, of course, the spawner back here. And I like how people are walking, and it looks like they're coming back to these buses. Now, eventually, we're going to have people this way. I think we're going to do some sort of like welcome type center over here. It might not make any sense, but we're going to do it just to have another set of spawners over there. And then over here, we're going to have like a bathroom and then another set of spawners over there. So it's going to be nice to see people coming in and out from just multiple directions here. But yes, this looks so much more open now. And obviously we have a lot more work to expand all of this out, but it looks like it fits. It looks like it's new, or it actually doesn't look like it's new. It looks like it was built probably around the time that like this was built, but it adds that extra realistic feel to it. So I think that's just about going to do it. Again, I'll remind you guys that we are going to be doing a live stream. So check your subscription boxes for the card that comes up for the scheduled live stream. You guys can hit the alert on that so you don't miss it. And I hope to see you guys on Saturday. Again, if you'd like to support the channel a little extra, go ahead and hit that join button down below the video, or head over to Patreon where you can donate as much as you'd like and potentially get your name in the credits here. But that's going to do it for this episode. So guys, thank you for watching. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you disliked it. I will see you in the live stream, and if not, I will just see you in the next episode.